this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Look at what the Rich XRP holders did. Now, it may not surprise you, but it will probably instill confidence in you that we're on the right track here. The Rich XRP holders bought a ton of XRP during the recent dip. Tale as old as time, my friends. Markets dip. People lean into that fear. The typical lemming retail speculators, they panic sell. And then the splishy, splashy whales getting aquatic AF, they swoop in and they purchase that fear at a very low price. That's not the only thing, though. So lots of things propelling the XRP market forward on the whole, despite the most recent pullback. But that was market-wide, of course. In fact, here's an example of just that. Here's a headline from the block. CBOE BZX Exchange files 19B-4 to list and trade spot XRP ETFs for several issuers. Now, I'm going to explain to you the significance of this, but XRP ETFs, oh yes, they are coming, and that materially matters to every single one of you holding XRP, because this will, it will literally impact the supply and demand dynamics of XRP, making XRP more scarce. Number go up, my friends. And by the way, Brad Garlinghouse recognized this development today, and I'll highlight that as well. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Let's start by highlighting this post from chart analyst Peppa. He shared this with his 152,700 followers on X. Now, this chart is an others market cap chart. Others is the name of the chart that tracks every cryptocurrency except for those in the top 10 coins by market cap. So XRP's not in here, but since the entire asset class moves in tandem, it's worth being aware of this. Plus, I know that all of you listening, you're not a bunch of maximalists out there. Even if you're like me and XRP happens to be your favorite coin, the one you care about most, maybe it's even your largest holding, you're not a maximalist, are you? Because there's like one in existence. They're like unicorns, right? XRP maxis. There's about zero. You might as well round down to zero, right? Because we hold a ton of different coins. So we do care about what happens with the rest of the market here. And if things go the way that we hope and expect them to, XRP is going to go along for that ride. But more so than that, it won't just go along for the ride. That argument's been put to bed anyway. It's going to lead the ride. It will be, if not the number one coin out of the large and mid caps, it's going to be among the top performers. And it has been ever since election. It's been either the best, or at various points, one of the best out of the top 125 coins by market cap. And so anyway, chart analyst Peppa here shared this chart. And he wrote, sentiment is the same as during COVID bottom. Do you believe? And so he's noting that the most recent dip we had days ago, he's saying that the catalyst for that was the trade war, which he talked about. And then going back to last cycle, it happened to be COVID. And he's noting that the sentiment was just as much in the gutter. And maybe it was worse during COVID. I don't know. I don't know which would be considered worse. I mean, a lot of us are insulated, so it's kind of hard to tell because we hold XRP and man, it's held up incredibly well. Yes, it's been very volatile over the last few days as the whole market dipped, but it's worth so much more than it was before the election that I think we in the XRP community were a little bit more insulated than we're used to. So maybe the sentiment really is the same as it was last cycle during that COVID bottom. But look, markets do find bottoms, and unless they think this time is different, we're going to go to the upside. Next, XRP is probably going to keep leading the way. Here's a post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto. Altcoins cap just witnessed a buy signal on a retest zone. This time around, it's going for a huge breakout. And the chart on your screen here is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so these are the types of things that I continue to see. Now, that there's no guarantee that we won't go down first. You could see another move to the downside, getting rid of the last few lettuce hands that may exist. But you can't stay down here forever. It's just not going to happen. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom, and this was fascinating. Take a look at this. Something interesting happened over the weekend that not many are talking about. 6 out of the top 8 cryptos printed their largest downside wick of a bullish daily candle in history. Bitcoin was a $6,300 wick. Ethereum, $700 wick. XRP, 79-cent wick. Dogecoin, 6-cent wick. Cardano, 29-cent wick. Tron, 2.5-cent wick. So what's it mean? Well, we know that was the largest liquidation ever in history. We know over 17 billion of levered positions were wiped out. We estimate $10 billion was liquidated. And by the way, I'll note that there are people reporting that once we knew the number was at least 2 billion, I saw tons of major crypto accounts reporting that was a record for the space. And now it's estimated to be 5 times that. So yeah, this most recent liquidation just days ago, biggest in crypto history. Okay, so what's the point of this? Why is he highlighting this? Why does this matter to you as an XRP holder? Well, here's what he says. So simply put, the market just saw one of the most aggressive liquidity sweeps / stop hunts ever. At face value, it means big players flushed out weak hands and likely accumulated. What happens next is going to be very interesting. Okay, well it is sure interesting. So one of the biggest moments in crypto history as it comes to people getting absolutely wrecked, right? So are people actually accumulating? Well, what about this post from chart analyst Ali Martinez? He thinks the answer's yes. Here he shared this post. Whales seized the opportunity during the recent dip, buying 520 million XRP. That's right. As XRP dropped dramatically along with the rest of the market just days ago, the splishy splashy whales getting aquatic AF, they purchased up that fear. Oh yes, indeed they did. So this is what the rich XRP holders did. Because it's the whales, the rich people, they tend to stay rich by not doing the behaviors that the poor people do. They do different things. If you want to be rich, try and engage in the behaviors that the rich people do. The rich people do not panic sell. They just don't. They don't have feels about this. Not like everyone else. Certainly not. And certainly not the institutions. They're used to this. In fact, they look at it so analytically, they understand that all the other humans out there, they are going to behave like that. They're counting on it. They know it's going to happen. And so they just do differently. They just don't act like that. So do the whales get wrong-footed? The rich people here, the rich XRP holders, do they get wrong-footed here? No. See, it's one of those things. It's just like this. If you hear the words "this time is different," it's not different. Like it's not. It's like almost 100% certainty this time is not different. Whales do not get wrong-footed. That's the reason I'm highlighting this. So if you're wondering, are you stupid, wrong, risking too much by holding XRP? Well, you got to decide for yourself what's right for you. I do not know, and nobody technically knows for sure what's going to happen. So with those disclaimers and caveats aside, very clearly this is what makes sense. You're not the only one that thinks XRP makes a ton of sense. It's just so obvious. And the fundamentals on top of that have never been stronger. That's the reason it's persisted to this degree. It's not some fluke that XRP just so happens to be the one that is facing, it's gone through, the environment's gone through the last several years, and now we're in this bull run, and it just so happens to be outperforming pretty much ever. It's not a fluke that this is happening. It's because it freaking works, and the world values it because of that. It has real utility. People like the attributes that it has. That's why. And so most of us have known this for years. It's just the rest of the world is now finally catching up. And I think the price is ultimately going to go way higher than this. I just don't pretend to know when, and I don't make price predictions. But if XRP is going to continue to persist and have this level of utility, yeah, you better believe it. That's why there's demand for XRP ETFs, which brings us to this headline. CBOE BZX Exchange files 19B-4 to list and trade spot XRP ETFs for several issuers. Now, that story from the block was shared by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse Thursday evening. Well, how about that? And he didn't even write any words. He couldn't be bothered to. He shared an alarm clock emoji because he knows, just like the rest of us, it's a virtual certainty, about a 100% chance that these XRP ETFs, they're going to get approved. And the amount of money that's going to flow into XRP that otherwise wouldn't over a span of years and decades is going to be absolutely ludicrous. I don't know what the number is going to be, but it's going to be absolutely gigantic because people will have exposure to XRP that otherwise wouldn't. Because there are different types of people. Like, I mean, yeah, so you and I, we're just going to keep buying our XRP if we want to buy it on cryptocurrency exchanges, and we'll probably engage in self-custody because that's the smartest way to go about it. But there are people that just aren't going to create an account on a cryptocurrency exchange. They're ingrained and they spend their time in traditional finance and that whole system. And they're just not going to do it. And they don't want to learn how to take self-custody of their XRP, but they want exposure. So they're going to buy the ETF, the XRP ETF, and then as a result of them purchasing the ETF, the company that offers the XRP ETF will then purchase the XRP to back it. That's how this works. That's why it impacts the real supply and demand dynamics for XRP. That's a big freaking deal over a span of time. I don't know to what degree it's necessarily going to matter in the short term, like for this market cycle. It is a big deal, though. And the reason this is happening is because there is demand for this, or you wouldn't see all of these firms pushing for this. XRP very clearly is one of the early winners of crypto. It could not be more freaking obvious. So anyways, piece reads as follows. CBOE BZX Exchange filed 19B-4s on behalf of Bitwise 21 Shares and Canary Capital to list and trade a spot exchange-traded product that tracks the fourth largest cryptocurrency by market cap. That's XRP, of course. 19B-4 filing is the second part of a two-step process for proposing a crypto ETF to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Once acknowledged by the SEC, the filing will be published in the Federal Register, initiating the agency's approval process. Bitwise first filed a registration for a spot XRP ETF in October, while 21 Shares filed an S1 registration statement for an XRP ETF with the SEC in November. The SEC approved the listing of spot Bitcoin ETFs in January 2024 and spot Ethereum ETFs last summer. Given the pro-crypto embrace from President Donald Trump, issuers have flooded the zone with spot crypto ETF filings in recent weeks. SEC Acting Chair Mark Uyeda picked fellow Republican Commissioner Hester Peirce to lead a crypto task force. Peirce said she plans to work on distinguishing which crypto assets are securities, potentially changing ways for firms to register, and work on providing clear statements when approving or disapproving exchange-traded products, the block's Sarah previously reported. Okay. Well, no crypto is a security in and of itself, unless the crypto which is created is literally meant to act exactly as a stock. That's the one example I can think of off the top of my head, because then you're saying, hey, we're creating this specifically to be a security. Outside of that, absolutely not. We in the XRP community know this very well. It's at the core of the arguments put forth in the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. It's never the asset itself that is the security. Just like the oranges in the Howey case, that 1946 case at the Supreme Court, the oranges themselves were never securities. It was the totality of the scheme that constituted illegal securities transactions. It didn't make oranges securities. It's not like you just go into your local grocery store and you pick up an orange and you're buying a security. That's not how this works. Just like if you go on an exchange, you buy XRP, XRP isn't then a security. So that wording isn't quite sufficient to, that's not to my liking, I'll just say that. But still, the rest of the reporting is accurate. And there's also this, look at this headline. This is from CoinDesk. SEC seems ready to advance XRP Litecoin Solana ETF applications. And I don't need to read the article. Here's what they're referencing, in part anyway. This is from James Seifert. It's a post on X. And he works for Bloomberg. And he shared this. Update. SEC just acknowledged the Grayscale Solana 19B-4. This is actually newsworthy because the SEC had refused to do this in recent filing attempts for Solana. Now, Eleanor Turret, she noticed that and she reposted that. She's a Fox Business journalist. And she wrote, new. Very noteworthy that the SEC has acknowledged Grayscale Solana filing because, as James mentions, the Gensler SEC alleged in prior litigation that Solana might be a security. The same SEC asked the CBOE to withdraw issuers' Solana filings just a few weeks ago when Gensler was still at the helm. This is the part that matters for XRP holders. She writes, this may be a good sign for other assets like XRP that were deemed securities under the prior administration that could now be getting a second look. It's going to be very good for XRP. Now, thankfully, the court found that XRP itself is not a security, but yes, that was the assertion effectively by the SEC, that XRP itself was a security. So they're moving forward with Solana. And by the way, Eric Balchunas, He's another guy that's been tracking the ETF stuff. He got kind of famous in the world of crypto for doing it. He also works at Bloomberg, but he was heavily tracking what was happening leading up to the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF in January of last year, which feels like a decade ago at this point. But look what he said here on this. He said, notable because this is the first time an ETF filing tracking a coin that had previously been called a security has been acknowledged by the SEC. Only 6 weeks ago, the Gensler-led SEC told CBOE to withdraw their Solana 19B-4. So we are now in new territory, albeit just a baby step, but seemingly the direct result of leadership change. Yeah, more than it absolutely is the result of that. Because Trump won, there's been a complete 180 on this, and it's to the positive. What do you think then happens for XRP? This thing's going to get approved. Like I would imagine probably all, unless there's some sort of weird technicality for one of them, they're probably all these XRP ETFs, they're just going to get approved. That's the direction that we're going. That's what leadership now wants, and that is what's going to happen. My friends, we are on the right side of history. The courts have found it. Now we have the right leadership in charge right now. So another decade, 2, 3 from now, people look back and be like, yep, that is indeed how things went out. But like, we're living through this right now. And let a little more time pass, and we will even further be proven to be correct and to have made wise decisions participating in this at all. Even at times, especially for XRP holders the last few years when it could have been intimidating. It was intimidating for many for very understandable reasons. But here we are, and we're better for it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.